So a while back, I made a video here on YouTube called My Least Favorite Jolly. And I had, I think, 7 on the list. And I had started a list on Letterboxd, and I was just gonna keep a running record of my least favorites. But since I made that video, I haven't added a single Giallo to that list. Why? Yes, I'm still watching Giallo pretty regularly, so it is weird that I haven't felt the need to put any onto that least favorites list. Now, I have done ranking videos where I do rank some in total flop, but I think I only have one that I put in the, or maybe 2 that I put in the regret watching category. So yeah, I started to think about why I'm not adding to this most hated Jolly list, you know? I was like, am I becoming less critical? Like, what's behind this? I think this is sort of a natural progression. It's a natural development after diving deeper and deeper into Giallo. Let me know if I'm not alone in this. But you know, the more you watch, it changes you. It makes you realize that this genre is so much more complex than this Giallo is good and this Giallo is bad. Like, there's far more to it than that. Especially when we're dealing with this genre that is, it's like a product of its time. So even though like Giallo is technically still going, like the golden age is 50 years ago, and it's almost like an heirloom. Like, it's something that you can't recreate, and it's so old that there's so much more to appreciate about it, like besides the plot or the acting. You get what I'm saying? Every Giallo has good things and bad things about it, but especially now that we're 50 years out from the golden age, you have to realize that every Giallo contributed something to the genre. I look at Giallo filmmaking as like, it was this time of exploration, I guess, and like forward progression, and every film in its own way was like a step further onto that path for the genre as a whole. But yeah, as cheesy as it sounds, I would say Giallo changes you. Like, it's almost like the more you watch, the less of them you hate. And there's something so strange about the larger exploitation cinema community. I don't want to say that we have lower standards. It's more like acquired taste, but I'm going to use the term lower standards in that we don't expect too much when we go into a movie. We're prepared for anything. You know, you're risking a bad movie anytime you put on an exploitation film. So we have these lowered expectations, and then we may find ourselves being absolutely delighted when we find there is something to love about the film at the very least. Whether it's like just a certain actor you're there for, or the director that you're there for, or the soundtrack is awesome, or if you're like me, it's very stylish with like lots of cute outfits. If there's something to love about the film, then you're like, ooh, this darn light, I'm so professional. If I would stop sitting on the cord, then the light would stop falling. Hey, honey, come here. Daisy, come here. You guys, come here. Look. This is my neighbor's cat. Look at her. She's an angel. She's an outside cat. So what the deal we have going on right now is we keep our door open into the backyard, so she can come in if she wants. And then we make sure she's back in her neighbor's yard by the end of the day. But like, she's a free wandering cat. So we've been hanging out with her a lot because the neighbors got her because they had a mouse in their garage. So when we first met her, we called the number on her collar, and lo and behold, it was our next door neighbor. And they're like, oh yeah, she's an outside cat, it's whatever. So we've been hanging out with this girl a lot. And it's really weird and really cool because she literally showed up in our lives like right after our cat passed away, which is, it's just like, I think it's the universe just giving us a friend. Anyway, that was Daisy. Should I just give up? Should I just give up on trying to make high quality content? Okay, back to what I was saying about exploration. When we try out a movie, we aren't necessarily like, we aren't expecting it to blow our socks off most of the time, you know? We're just like, we're curious. Naturally, there will be flops, but like watching many bad movies in the search for gold is a part of the exploration journey. And once you start a Giallo journey and you start diving deep, you become familiar with like faces, names, places. So over time, your perception changes. Okay, so for me, for example, my gateway, like many, was Argento. So I was way into the like super edgy violence and all the style and all that. And so very early on in my Giallo journey, I did not understand the soap opera Giallo. I was like, this is a mistake. What is this? This isn't like Suspiria or whatever. Finally, with time, the more and more you watch, the more you start to understand the full spectrum of Giallo, and it's a huge spectrum. And then, yeah, you do start to appreciate the subtler expressions of the genre, like the Carol Baker soapy jollies. I just said jollies. Help me. So my advice to anyone I would give entering the genre of Giallo is just keep going. Keep going. Don't stop. It's like the more Giallo you watch, the better Giallo gets. Some movies get better with more viewings. And the more you watch, the more you'll understand. And the more you'll be able to talk about these films. I mean, I can't believe how much better I've gotten at watching movies in general since I really started watching movies as a hobby about 2.5 years ago. And when you watch a movie for the first time, you're making memories. You make memories when you're watching a movie. There's always going to be the greater context of your life that comes into play when you're rating a film. Where are you when you watched it? Who were you with? How were you feeling when you hit play? What are you maybe escaping from when you decide to watch a movie? Or what are you seeking comfort for? I've said before that sometimes when I like sit down to watch a movie, it's like the movie keeps me company. Like if I'm alone, the movie is kind of like my friend for that night. Some nights I'm like sick or I'm sad, and just having that movie going just really helped take my mind off it. And personally, I remember things like I had a migraine when I watched Death Occurred Last Night. And then there's also the context of like, what did you go in expecting? Did you expect it to be awful and it pleasantly surprised you? And what imagery sticks with you after a film is over? And there's even the context of availability. Like what I was saying with Top Sensation the other day, if you have been like dying to get your hands on this film forever and then you finally get it, doesn't that change how you receive it? Pizza Hut knows when to send those notifications. I'm tempted. But yeah, there's a lot more that goes into like rating a movie besides objective good or bad, and even besides personal taste. It can be about the memories made. I read this review on Letterboxd months ago that really stuck with me, and it's part of what ultimately inspired me to do this video. The review is written by Michael Berger, and it was on Letterboxd for the movie Child Bride. Michael writes with sympathy and understanding and just general support for bad movies. I don't assume any movie will be bad. I can't imagine that a team of at least 50 people would get together and spend a year of their lives making something they don't like and respect. I don't mind bad movies. I like them. I listen to every goddamn word they have to say. And some of them aren't half bad, by the way. Bad is a subjective term. Just to be clear, now he does, on this review for Child Bride, he does go on to say that Child Bride is trash, okay? But he's saying like typically, he doesn't hate bad movies. But I feel the same way when it comes to appreciating bad movies. I love the mystique surrounding a shunned or obscure or widely hated film. When all the attention falls away from a movie or the accessibility and it just becomes forgotten, I'm so curious. And then of course, like we've said about Giallo here on this channel, every Giallo is a piece of this larger puzzle. Okay, so now I'm gonna look at my top 7 most hated Gialli once again. Let's check it out. Suspicious Death of a Minor. Again, now this was very early on. I was not into the polizioteschi. I was not into the cop stuff. I hear a lot of people saying great things about Suspicious Death, and I love Martino. So I may like it this time. Plot of Fear. I'd watch it again. I would watch it again. Weekend Murders. I don't think I'd watch that again, but like, the reason I didn't like it is because it was like more of a comedy. But I do see that a lot of other people like it. Death Knocks Twice. Okay, so now that I know Fabio Testi and Anita Strindberg better, I might watch Death Knocks Twice again because I love those guys. The Fourth Victim, aka Death at the Deep End of the Swimming Pool. I did watch this again this month. And there's nothing wrong with it. It was pretty good. It wasn't quite like a Lindsay Baker Giallo, but I thought it was fine. The Washing Machine. Now this one was a lot for me earlier on in my journey because it's very erotic, just like very erotic, and not quite enough death for me, and it was like kind of incesty. It's just like, I don't know what to do with the incest movies, you know? I could watch it again. I do really like the leading lady. She's very pretty. Massacre. I don't know. I'm indifferent. It's whatever. Like, it's not memorable. And that's the issue. Like I said, it's another step forward for the genre. It's another piece of the puzzle. Hotel Fear. Yeah, I hate that. I hate that. That's the worst Giallo I've ever seen in my life. I hate it, and I never want to watch it again. But the fact that I haven't added any other Gialli to this list since I saw Hotel Fear, I think that says a lot. It's saying great things for my Giallo journey, you know? That most of the things I am clicking play on, I don't regret. Yeah, like I said, when you keep going, when you keep watching these, you get more and more context. You understand more and more things. Your perspective evolves. So, I don't know if I'm gonna ever add any more hated Gialli to this list, because each of them has something special about them, and at the very least they have my respect. Let me know what you think. Which Gialli do you hate? Have you ever straight up regretted watching a Giallo? And how do you feel about bad Gialli or bad movies in general? I definitely could have done a video just on like in defense of bad movies, maybe one day. But this came straight from the fact that, oh, I haven't added to this list in forever. And it's been an interesting discussion, for sure. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on the subject. And I'll see you in the next video. Ciao!